Now we'll move, then we'll talk the questions after. I think they have 2 questions for you. Let us move to the next speaker, then we can have an open panel. To Mohamed Ridzuan Abdulaziz from Malaysia. Now we talk about, FinTech Association Malaysia, right? And this is one of the things we were talking about, the ecosystem. So this is very interesting now to take it forward from Mohamed Al-Khatib, suggestion and recommendation that building the ecosystem. Would like to know from you what's happening in Malaysia and about the chain. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I do have a presentation. If you can put it up, please. Is it available? My presentation deck, my slides. Yeah, I passed it to them. Okay. Just a little bit of a background. I used to be a regulator in Malaysia. I worked as a regulator for about 10 years. And then I worked with an Australian and a Japanese bank for about 8 years. And then I started my own business, mostly in financial technology. I've sold 2 companies already, and I'm now running another 4. And I'm also the president of the FinTech Association of Malaysia. So it's very interesting to talk about the FinTech ecosystem and how it becomes a tool for, especially for banks in terms of moving forwards. In Malaysia, what we have done is we look at 5 key elements: talent, funding, branding, technology implementation, as well as the environment that we are working in. So when you talk about talent, what we are looking at now is the current talent that we have, like mathematicians, physicists, all those people who are good in technology. These are young people who doesn't want to work in a traditional bank. They do not want to work in office and get stuck behind the table from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So what they do is they want to work in an environment which they like. All right? So this requires a different way of hiring talent. You no longer can hire people and looking at how they write their CVs. What I did is I asked for future talent to give me a video CVs. A video CV that is only 3 minutes long and tell who they are, what they are capable of doing, and what they know about the company that they want to come in to. So by 3 minutes video, you wouldn't waste any time because you already see the person that you want to talk to. You would already see the capabilities of this person in terms of articulating the ideas that they have, and you don't waste your time going to see that person. Because anybody can write anything on a written CV and they can lie. That's what happened, yeah? So in terms of funding, as my role in my country, I advise the government in terms of how to fund fintech companies. Fintech companies are not like the traditional companies. They are fast, they don't have money, and they need decision very, very fast. So government need to be able to identify these companies and then identify their potential and how fast they can scale and grow and become profitable. So what I did with my FinTech Association is we advise all the government agencies in Malaysia. We also help Indonesia, we also help Thailand in terms of restructuring the funding environment so that it is not giving out like a bank loan, but more like an investment. Because FinTech companies, if you notice, they can grow very, very fast. Okay, but they can also fail very, very fast. So these are not like traditional companies. These are companies that what we call fast fail and can pivot very, very fast. All right. The third thing is looking at branding. If you notice, the fintech companies doesn't use newspaper or printed media to actually market their capabilities. They use social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all sort of social media that you have. So that's why the traditional bank are left behind, because the youngsters doesn't want to go to the traditional bank. They want to use banks through their mobile phone. Yep, I have, okay, that's good. Can I control this, please? Yes, thank you. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't like to talk because you can't imagine what I'm talking about. I like to show what I have. So as a person who was a regulator before, I have a disclaimer. You can see my disclaimer. And then this is actually a real revenue that we have analyzed, looking at the performance of a lot of banks in America compared to technology company, where on average, the revenue per employee per year on a technology company is so much better compared to a traditional bank. Okay, so this is why there is actually a need for banks to adopt technology and adopt it very, very fast, whether you are Islamic bank or whether you are conventional bank. And this is what I talk about in terms of the ecosystem. We talk about talent, financing, branding, technology implementation, as well as the environment, and how you want to approach it and what kind of outcomes do you expect from the approach that you are taking. So when it comes to talent just now, I was just doing this. Right, and these are the companies that I have advised in Malaysia in terms of improving their talent side. I don't work alone, I work with a lot of other companies in terms of improving talent. And these are the kind of funding that we are looking at, depending on the maturity of the companies, whether they are at ideation, at prototype, at startup, at scaling, or at the exponential growth. So bank can also adapt this, because bank, you need to reinvent your business model. You can no longer rely on asset and liability management business model. You should think about transactional banking in terms of catching up, in terms of capturing the new customers of the future. When it comes to branding, there's a lot of case study that I have been doing with a few other companies, especially using artificial intelligence, and we noticed that these companies like LinkedIn, like UFC, for example. Do you know that the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship companies, they started at a value of $4 million US. When the company was sold, in 10 years' time, it was valued at $4 billion US. All right? So this is a very fascinating kind of case studies. And if you want to know further, I have right up on all these companies that I show that we've done some case studies review and analysis on these companies. This is the fintech world as far as Malaysia is concerned. These are the companies that's under Fintech Association of Malaysia. These are providers of financial services mostly in Malaysia that is now allowed to operate in Malaysia, and we allow them to move in the space whether it's licensed or unlicensed. But of course, we look at systemic risks, we look at data securities, we look at customers' importance, as well as in terms of looking at their financial capabilities and competencies. So what we are looking at here, when you look at it from a bank perspective, is we are unbundling the bank services. Normally, all these services are available in a single bank. But what FinTech has done, it has unbundled this. They have chipped away some of these services and they provided it independently from the bank. Very obvious is we talk about remittance. Just now we talked about M-Pesa. I also work with a company called World Remit. World Remit actually has a partnership with M-Pesa in Kenya. The owner of World Remit is Ismail Ahmad. He came from Somaliland. And I work closely with Ismail Ahmad in terms of expanding World Remit in Southeast Asia. So this is the kind of threats or the kind of opportunities actually that you can look into where you can collaborate with one of these or as many as you want in the similar ecosystem. And last but not least, we are talking about internal and external regulation. Fintech companies they have a different kind of corporate culture. The youngsters doesn't like, as I said just now, work for other people. They like to work with some other people as an equal partner. I have 3 children. They are all very big already. They are all teenagers. My eldest is 21 years old. She doesn't like to work for other people. She wants to start her own business when she graduated in 2 years' time. So I asked her, what do you want to do? She said, although I'm studying pharmacy, but I want to make sure that this medicine that I'm helping to sell is able to reach the poorest kind of people in the society. So she's not thinking about making money, but those who are in fintech are thinking about what kind of value that they can create for people at large to benefit from their initiative. So this is very different from the traditional business where they are talking from a capitalist perspective, where they are talking about enhancing the shareholders' value. For fintech, we are talking about how do we create value for the consumers. Yeah. So as far as regulatory environment is concerned, I work closely with the 3 regulators in Malaysia, the Securities Commission, the Central Bank, as well as the stock market. So we help regulators to understand where are the fintech coming from, what kind of regulation that needs to be changed, what kind of sandbox that we can create to accommodate certain changes in the market, especially for new business model. So these are the metrics that we are thinking of. We are always applying this. Okay, we talk about momentum shifting, we talk about moving goals, because as a business, the goal is not fixed. So you need to move your focus as and when you go along. And these are the detail about the momentum shifting. You can talk to me later, but I don't mind sharing this slide with you if you want to know further. And this is the approach that we have in terms of understanding what kind of business model that is relevant, to the point where we ask ourselves, if let's say we need to establish a new bank, should we maintain the same business model, or should we change the banking business model to accommodate a new way of doing banking? How can we save money but not putting the money in a bank? Where else can we put money and capture that value but not in the traditional bank? So this is where technology like blockchain, technology like e-wallet, for example, technology like digital asset custodian or digital asset exchange can be deployed in terms of creating a new kind of business model that we call a new future bank. Just for your information, Malaysia just announced that application for digital bank will be accepted. So if you are keen to come to Malaysia, please talk to me and I will channel you to the central bank in terms of how you can apply for a license as a digital bank in Malaysia. So with that, I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for this very interesting presentation. So.